Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our live stream tonight. It's the second live stream of this year. Back in July, we've presented to you the new Nasty Rod and Reel series. And tonight is obviously about something different, something bigger, that's for sure. Something more exciting, in my opinion, even as well. Of course, we're talking about the new Aero Technium Magnesium XTD and XSD. The new flagship model of Shimano within the big pit carp and surfcasting reel range. Packed with all the top-end features of Shimano. So what's new compared to the previous model? Which features have been added by Shimano to this reel? And how do they benefit your fishing? My name is Tim and this is Badjan, and over the next 30 minutes we will be explaining to you all about this new product and why it improves your fishing. Then after that, there's only little time for some viewers' questions, because straight after this live stream you will be able to tune in to local Q&A sessions with our colleagues and ambassadors in UK, France, Italy, Spain and Portugal at 8 p.m. Central European Time, 7 p.m. UK time for more in-depth discussion with our ambassadors, and plenty of time to ask anything you would like to know and understand about these new reels. That's going to be worth watching for sure. 8 p.m. 7 p.m. UK time. So for now, let's start taking a look at this new reel, Badjan. Could you explain to us and to the viewers why not only yourself but also myself and everybody else should be so excited about these new reels?
Yeah, absolutely. If you just take a look at them, they're absolutely gorgeous, and of course a flagship within the Big Pit series. And as you know, the Aero Technium Magnesium is a real icon in both the carp and the surf market. Right. So we are really proud and excited to present today the new Aero Technium Magnesium, full with new features, on which we'll later I will explain a bit more later in the live stream. So packed with features which all contribute to casting distance and accuracy. So really good reels for carp fishermen and surf fishermen. Mm-hmm. For what I can say at this moment is that our best casting reel just got better. So let's go.
Our best casting reel just got better. Let's take a look how that looks in more detail. I think that is just beauty on itself, really. Right, so there is a bunch of new features on these new reels, Badjan. So can you explain a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So I will just grab one of the reels in my hand. And like you say, first of all, magnificent design, beautiful, but of course also loaded with features. So on this new Aero Technium Magnesium, there are over 7 completely new or improved features compared to the current model. So I would like to highlight now 2 features that really makes a difference for distance casting and accuracy casting. So first of all, as you can see immediately when having a look at the reel, is the longer spool stroke. So this new Aero Technium Magnesium utilizes a 45 millimeter long stroke spool. This bigger surface for the line to sit in helps to fit the line more precisely and evenly on the spool, especially in combination with our super slow 10 oscillation system. As a result, when casting, the line comes off the spool with less friction, resulting in further and more accurate cast.
Right.
But that's not all. Another big new feature is rigid cast. So rigid cast is a completely new feature. We haven't seen it before on any of our reels. So it's now first introduced on the new Aero Technium Magnesium. And the rigid cast, what it actually does, at the initial moment of the cast, when the angler releases the line with the finger, the line pulls heavily on the spool and a lot of force is put on the spool. As a result, the spool might wobble, and in extreme cases, the main shaft or even the body might deflect.
Okay.
As a result, you lose casting distance and accuracy. To counter this, Shimano developed rigid cast. And rigid cast is a design approach which balances the strength and the lightweight of the spool, the main shaft, and the body of the reel.
Okay.
To be able to withstand this initial force put on the spool when casting. So, as you can imagine, the synergy between super slow 10 oscillation, the longer stroke spool, and the rigid cast will help anglers to cast out more far and more accurate. So huge improvement on casting performance on this reel.
Right, you can see a lot of effort has been put into development of this reel for sure. All right, I think in the meanwhile, our colleagues Richard Griffiths and Gabriele Cerruti have joined the live stream. Let's see if we can bring them in. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining. Good to see you. Good to see you. Just for the ones that don't know you, let me introduce you to our viewers. Richard Griffiths is our product developer for the carp market, where Gabriele Cerruti is our product developer responsible for the surfcasting market. Let's start with you, Griff. Before we get into the more technical side of things, I believe you've been fishing with those reels already for a while. Can you tell us a little bit about your personal experience with that?
Sure. Yes, I've been lucky enough to be testing these reels for a considerable few months, and the venue where I fish, sometimes you need range. You're fishing tight PVA bags up to an island, a good distance, and previously I would have been using the XTC version, and yes, you were hitting the spot, but you're having to put that bit of extra power into the cast. Now, ultimately, straight away, when I moved across to the XTD version, I instantly noticed it was easier to hit those spots. So you can tell straight away that these are geared up for much better, better distances, completely redefined and geared up for distance fishing. And it resulted in me catching some of the better fish for the start of the year. So surely, I mean, this reel's definitely put more fish on the bank for me this year.
Right, very promising. So if we look at the carp anglers, right, for example, Richard, what do you reckon from your point of view is the most excited thing, the thing that they should be most excited about looking at those reels?
Well,
for their fishing.
Carp gear, and more importantly, carp rods have evolved over the last 10, 15 years, and we've seen them become more and more powerful. 15, 20 years ago, it would have been 2.25 pound test curve rods, and it's moved up. It's gradually moved up to the scale 2 3/4, and you're even seeing 3 3/4 and even more powerful rods on the bank now, just to gain those distances and new styles of fishing. But the main thing is that reels have not really changed. The actual template of reels have remained the same. So the rods have evolved, but in terms of dimensions, so reels haven't. And this is the first step of taking reels into that area of extreme distance. And I mean, using these reels myself, you'll fish at range, but also short range fishing. You'll use these, and they feel the exact same as what they did with the XTC versions. So there's what we've done is we've widened the scope on the distance, but your short range is still there. It feels the same. But if we look at the reel itself, there's so much to look at. As I say, it's completely redesigned, but there's a lot of features inside this reel that you can't see. So things like infinity drive, which is a brand new feature, silent drive, and more venues now, you'll see anglers that will fish in snag fishing, fishing really heavy waters, And what that does in a benefit internally that you can't see is increased cranking power, winding power. So if you are locked up to snags and fishing, you can dip that tip under the water, you can crank, and it's a real Shimano synonymous for reels and products that last the test of time, but it's taken that step further now that you can stick that tip under the water, you can pull a fish away from the snags, you can wind through heavy weed, and they're really geared up for that. But on top of that, I mean, for the carp anglers, when I've visited shops up and down the UK and in different countries, one of the main questions was a request to come back to the old folding handle. And that's exactly what we've done. We've listened to what the public have asked for, and the folding handle has been applied, similar to what we had on the XTB version. And it tightens up to the side of the reel, as you can see, keeps it nice and secure, so it can't move around or bang the body of the reel and cause any damage. It's nice and tight to that. And I've been asked a number of times, why not put a button on there, or why not make it so it's... The whole ethos with Shimano is to make the most technical and best performing products on the market. And to produce a knuckle, a simple design like this, has one main reason as well, that you get zero play lost in that handle. So it's direct to the rotor. There's absolutely no movement. So that is the most efficient design to make the most efficient connection to the rotor of the reel. And then if we look around other areas that will benefit the carp angler, such as we've upgraded the drag washers to a cross-carbon drag washer. And these carbon drag washers, we've looked at in depth to get just right. Carp anglers want a drag that is literally half a turn from your locked up to your free spool, and that's what we've done in that. But it's that other range as well, right at the end when you're playing a fish. If your drag is that fast that sometimes that one or two clicks can be too much. So those one or two clicks when you're playing a fish under your feet, you actually get that little bit of control that you can click one down and you can still control the fish, give it a little bit of line, and then click one up, and you've got really good control through that. And yeah, as I say, that's all done through the micro clicker in there. So yes, we've thought about in depth what the carp angler needs for all those features on this reel. All
right. Okay. Well, maybe one more question for you, Griff. So if we look at the design, right? So outside of the 45mm spool, but also the body of the reel has undergone a significant transformation. Can you tell us a little bit more about that one?
Well, obviously the reel itself is slightly bigger because of the longer spool, the 45mm spool. But what I will say is it's in the true black matte carp cosmetics and really pays homage. The cosmetics of this, a lot of people talk about the iconic, the first magnesium XTB, which had the black cosmetics with the silver touches. And this is really just paying homage to that. I mean, a lot of people love that reel, so we've sort of gone back and emulated the success of that reel.
Right. Thanks, Richard. Very clear. I think it's time to see how all of that looks in action.
Imagine a reel so advanced that it has the potential to almost change reality and makes the impossible possible. A reel that takes Shimano's best and makes it even better. Imagine the new Aero Technium Magnesium XTD.
What a beautiful fish that was as well in that video. Let's make the bridge over to you, Gabriele, for a minute. So from a surf casting point of view, in your opinion, what are the benefits, the main benefits coming from this reel for those anglers?
Yes, so the benefits Richard just explained for carp fishing are also, of course, very well applicable to surf casting situations. So I would also definitely start from the brand new rigid cast technology. So every surf angler knows how much force is the reel subjected to during an off the ground or a pendulum cast, or whenever there's the need of casting out a heavy lead, for instance, during rough sea conditions. So now this new Aero Technium Magnesium feature this impressive 45 millimeter long stroke spool that inevitably means that the main shaft length has also increased. Rigid cast means that the new main shaft has been over-engineered in order to withstand even the most powerful cast. We know that some surf anglers are very concerned about creating potential damage to the main shaft when casting with the spool in an upper position. So with this new mag, they can definitely forget about having to bring the spool down on a lower position before casting. Of course, it gives you really a solid feel as soon as you pick it up. Rigid cast also means a better line laying when winding under heavy pressure due to, of course, this zero flex of the shaft.
Right. And can you tell us a little bit more about the cranking power as well?
Yes, of course. This goes along very well with the improved gearing on our flagship reel model. So when you need to quickly lift from the bottom, for example, your heavy spider or pyramid sinker, or for instance, when you need to pull out of a rough ground an important prey fish, you definitely notice how powerful and smooth at the same time this machine is. Something you notice the first time you pick it up. It gives you an incredible sense of rigidity. This increased power transfer from the handle to the rotor is merit of the Infinity Drive, as Bartian explained, while at the same time, the new redesign of the internal gear, so the silent drives, allows almost zero gear noise. No gear noise, no vibrations coming from the reel. So two new features that already revolutionized our spinning reel lineup, now also available on Big Pit. And I definitely,
Thanks, Gabi.
of course, sorry, Tim. I definitely need, of course, to spend words on the 45 millimeter new spool everyone mentioned before. So a massive spool, 30% taller, 1 centimeter taller than the previous model, and with the same, maintaining the same diameter of 76 millimeter. So this simply means a bigger surface for the line to sit and less friction to leave. And this also thanks to the Super Slow 10, so Shimano's well-known line laying system, credited to several casting records. So here we have a new record of a total of 107 coils of line laid onto the spool over a full oscillation, which is more than double any other reel on the market, for instance. So yeah, whether you're spooling extremely thin lines for your next surf casting competition, or you're using heavier lines to target your dream specimen fish, you will find out the line will really flow out effortlessly out of this big, huge spool. So yeah, definitely during our test on the beach, this reel really surprised us, and I'm really sure it will bring a new casting record to every lucky surf angler that will add this new fantastic machine to their arsenal.
Right. Thanks, Gabri. Thank you very much. I think also for the surf casting viewers, we have a video to see how that looks in practice. Exciting. All right. Time for some viewers' questions. All right. Let's pick a few. Let's say first one. Can you tell me more about the improved casting performance compared to my XTC version? Griff, I think that one is for you. Best to answer.
Thank you. Okay. I have two spools here, XTC and the new version. As you can see, compared, you've got that extra centimetre of spool length. But more importantly, we still keep that 76 millimetre width, which is completely different to anything in the market. So we've got a spool that's completely capable of something completely different, and you know, compared to the XTC version. And they both, as mentioned before, have super slow 10. However, because it's a longer spool, the super slow 10 had to be redesigned to fit the new XTD. And instead of on the previous XTC, we were getting 50 lays up, 50 down, so a total of 100 lays of line. On the new version, we're getting a total of 107. So it's more refined. You've got that 30% extra surface area, which reduces friction and that slow oscillation. So you've got an ultimate casting machine there. I mean, we've been out testing these reels on the field as well, and with the XTC and the XTD, and what we've done is we've paired them up with the same rod, same line, and same lead, and cast multiple times over an afternoon. And we've been seeing gains of as much as 5 to 8% on cast. Now, that's an unbelievable amount on a reel. You'd think a rod will have the biggest benefit because the rod is launching the lead, the reel is slowing the lead effectively. To actually get a 5% increase on distance through a reel is massive. So yeah, it's a complete redesign of what the XTC version was, and it's mainly all about taking that next step to gaining extra distance.
Thanks, Richard. Thank you very much. Second question. Let's see. How is the water protection of the reel? Well, I think, I suppose, Gabri, since you're the expert on surf casting and saltwater, this one would be for you.
Yes, thanks, Sing. I can pick this up. So in terms of water protection, this reel feature Shimano's X Protect on the line roller, so the most delicate part of a reel when it comes to water intrusion. So special Shimano patented labyrinth structure on the line roller that doesn't allow the water to come inside of it, water, dirt, or salt. And in addition to that, we have a completely waterproof new cross carbon washer drags. And yeah, for the rest, the reel is made out of magnesium, Ca4+, aluminum, so all materials that are really resistant to any condition. So it's really well protected against the salt water, both freshwater and saltwater environment. So it's really built tough.
All right. Thanks, Gabriele. Next one. Does it come with a spare spool or line reducers?
I can take this one, I think.
All right.
Yeah. So regarding the spare spool, so both the XTD and XSD version will come supplied with a spare spool. With previous generations, often the spare spool was processed in a little bit different way, and as a result, not completely matching the reel, because the main spool had slightly different cosmetic than the spare spool. This has to do with the number of times we anodized the spool. With the new Aero Technium Magnesium, the spare spool is exactly the same as the main spool.
Okay.
So you won't see a difference which of the spools you fit on. Of course, this offers a lot of flexibility or versatility to anglers, because it allows you to spool up an extra spool for just a slightly different fishing circumstance with a different type of line. not only will we supply these reels with a spare spool, also both of these spare spools will be supplied with 3 sets of line reducers. So as you can imagine, with a huge spool like this, a lot of line can sit in. So if we take a monofilament line of 0.35 millimeter, we can fit around 500 meter of line here. Actually 550 meter of line. And as you can imagine, for most fishing conditions, actually that is more line than you would ever need.
Yeah.
So that's why we provide line reducers. They come in the size 10,000, 6,000 and 3,500. And probably for most of the carp applications, the fitting on the 6,000 size line reducer would be suitable for our conditions.
Right.
If we would look to the surf casting market, we can fit on the 3,500 line reducer to fish with very thin braided lines, for example. So a lot of flexibility and options offered to the angler. So it's really a complete package, including 1 spare spool and 3 sets of line reducers.
All right. Thanks, Bart-Jan. I think if we look at the time, do we have time for 3 more? We'll have time for 3 more. Okay. Are these 45 millimeter spools compatible with other Shimano big bit reels? Good question. Griff, I think this one we can move over to you.
Sure. Okay, as mentioned before, so the spools are a centimetre longer. Obviously, as well, in order to do that, the body of the XTD is 1 centimetre longer as well. So it's a completely different reel. So the spools, in a nutshell, completely different. The shaft is longer, will not fit. So as I say, just because it's a complete new design, we started from scratch for something new.
Yeah, makes complete sense, of course. All right, last 2 questions. Do both reels have the same gear ratio? All right, who wants to take this one? Gabri, yeah, maybe for you.
Yeah, so yes, they do have the same gear ratio of 4.3 to 1. So they retrieve 103 centimeters of line per handle turn. And basically the 2 versions only differ for the color. One is liquid metal, as the stunning one I have in my hands, and the other one is black.
All right. Okay, last question then. When is the reel available in stores? All right, Griff, back to you, I suppose.
The reels will be, so the XTD version, you will see in stores November, and the XSD will be December. And one thing we will say is, okay, what we've allocated has all been sold to shops. So we've had a really big uptake from dealers across Europe. And what we've seen with the interest as well from the consumers, from new anglers out there, is been really positive so far. So, I mean, one thing that we know that these reels will be in high demand for what's coming through. So what we would suggest is to contact one of your dealers in order to reserve or see one of these reels around that time. And I suppose, yes, it's in time for Christmas time, and I suppose if you ask your wife or your girlfriend nicely, she might even get you a set.
Right, exactly, right in time to put on the Christmas wish list. All right, thanks Griff, thanks Gabriele from the studios in your office. That was it from our studio in Eindhoven. I think it's almost time for our local Q&A session. So you can now tune in with our colleagues in the UK, Italy, France, Spain, and Portugal for that more in-depth discussion on the new Aero Technium magnesium, specifically for either surf casting or carp fishing. You can ask them everything that you would like to know and understand about these new reels. There's going to be some first impression by our local ambassadors as well. The only thing that you have to do is to click on one of the links in the description of this live stream to tune in. Make sure to grab a drink and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.